Last Sunday, we read from John and experienced the first miracle that Jesus made. Just to remind you, last Sunday, I said Jesus went to a wedding. Jesus was invited to a wedding. And when he was there, they ran out of wine. And Mary came to Jesus and said, they ran out of wine. And remember last Sunday what I said? That Jesus answered Mary kind of rudely. Didn't even call him mother. Called him woman. My time has not come. Then I said last Sunday that Mary did not stop there. Mary did not listen to the words of Jesus. But Mary went ahead and said, anything that he's asking you to do, just do it. This Sunday, we have read that Jesus is in Nazareth, his hometown. But before I talk about Jesus, let me talk a little bit about Mother Teresa. She was born in Albania. And from an early child, she decided she wanted to be a nun. And she became a nun. And one thing about Mother Teresa, she had a mission. And her mission was to go to India, to go to Calcutta. For those who travel and for those who have gone to India, I have not been to India, that in Calcutta, you find a lot of poor people, very poor. Mother Teresa from Albania defined her mission to go to Calcutta and to take care of the poor. Now a story is told that one time she was visiting India, and as she was visiting India, they appointed a friar to be with her. And this friar wanted so much to talk to Jesus, to Mother Teresa. But he had no chance. Mother Teresa was always busy on the trip, always meeting people, always talking to people. And when that trip in India finished, Mother Teresa was to go to New Guinea. Then the friar said to Mother Teresa, if I can pay my airfare Can you allow me to sit next to you so that we can talk? This is what Mother Teresa responded. If you have so much money to pay for your airfare, why don't you give that money to the poor? Because you will learn much. You learn much by caring. This is what happened to Jesus. He defined his mission. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. To take care of the sick, to take care of the poor. It's a mission. He defined his mission, what he was going to do. No matter what people thought, that was his mission. I remember when I was invited to come to serve this congregation, I developed a mission for myself. One of the things that I developed in my mission statement was that I will love members of this congregation. The second thing that I put on my mission, I will learn all the names of the people in this church. The third thing I said, I will help build trust, because trust was no more. People could not trust ministers anymore. In fact, this congregation has had episodes with ministers. I told myself, I am not going to do that. I'm going to build relationships. My friends, when you have a mission, it doesn't mean that everything is honky-dory. It doesn't mean that everything will go okay. What it means is you have to keep to that mission. And this is exactly what Jesus did. He kept on the mission. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to take care of the poor, to visit the sick, to release people from prison, to bring freedom to those who are oppressed. That's the mission. And for me, the mission here is to build a stabilized congregation so that the next minister comes, find a solid, strong congregation. The next minister comes, find a congregation that loves and cares and welcomes people. A congregation that worships. And my friends, I said it was not easy and it was not going to be easy. But you know what? I have to keep to that mission. Because if I lose the focus, then I lose everything else. Jesus kept the mission going. We know stories about Jesus. You know what he did? He took care of the poor. Remember the story of Lazarus? When dogs were licking wounds of a poor person? This is what Jesus taught. Jesus mingled with prostitute. Now I'm using that word from scriptures. You know, this is how scripture uses it. Personally, I won't use that word. It's not a good word to use. But Jesus mixed with them. He mixed with Zacchaeus, corrupt. He mixed with Matthew, tax collector. He never wavered. He kept on going. He kept on going and going and going. Even when it was tough, he kept on going and going and going. He defined his mission. Now, earlier in this worship, Tina put, we are disciples of Jesus. We live out of love of God with a welcoming community of faith, strengthening one another. Friends, strengthening one another. This is what we're talking about. Not putting other people down or destroying other people. Strengthening one another and our world through worship, education, and compassion. This is what Strathroy United Church stands for. We define that mission for us, that we will have compassion no matter what happens. And that was my mission too, that I will have compassion no matter what happens. Sometimes when you have compassion, it's tough. Sometimes we deal with people that you never even think you can deal with people. But I have compassion in my heart. And I want to ask you to have compassion in your hearts. And I want to ask you this morning to look at the statement again. Let us continue to strengthen one another. Let us continue to strengthen our programs. Let us continue to strengthen our teams. Let us respect one another, friends. Let us treat each and every one of us with dignity. This is what I told myself, that I will treat every person with dignity. As a young child, I was not treated with dignity. I was oppressed. And I vowed that I will treat each and every person with dignity. My first church in the United Church of Canada was Laklabish United Church, and I was there in 1989. After 2 years in that church, the board decided that they want to cut ties with the United Church of Canada, because the United Church of Canada ordains gay people. And the board asks me, Abiel, could you be a minister when we form a community church? I said no. I said no because I do not want to discriminate against other people. This is not my mission. My mission is compassion. My mission is love. My mission is building relationships. My mission is not destroying people, but encouraging people. If anything, Strathroy, you can learn from me is humility. Can you learn that from an African? Can you learn that from me, Dawn? Humility and humbleness, the mess I've done and the pain I've caused. Can you learn one thing from me? Humility, humbleness. Of all the things, humbleness. I'm a humble person, and I'm highly educated. But I'm humble and loving and caring. Now, Mary Campbell can vouch for me, you know. We traveled with Mary to all the places. We visited the sick. We went to places. I remember one time, Mary Campbell and I went to give communion to someone. And we prepared the communion. Everything was ready to go. And this person looked at me and said, "I don't want your communion." I did not get angry. I said, "Sure. What do you want us to do?" The person said, "Let's say the Lord's Prayer." I said, "Let's do the Lord's Prayer." And we said the Lord's Prayer. And she said the whole Lord's Prayer alone. If this congregation can learn something from me, it's humility. That is how you define your mission. If people who come to this church to visit us can go back and say, Strathroy is a church that strengthens one another, that cares for one another, that has compassion. If people can live and say, as you read the announcements, we gave a hot meal to 80 people. We are a church of compassion. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because God has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim release of the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set liberty to all those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. My friends, this is the mission that God has given us through Jesus Christ. So, the last word, Andy, before you play. Please continue doing what you're doing. Please continue treating other people with dignity and respect and love and care and compassion. Let's now sing a hymn.